In the final months of the Second World War, American forces captured something unexpected. Thousands of German women, not civilians fleeing the chaos. These were uniformed military personnel. Nurses, signal operators, anti-aircraft auxiliaries. Many had served the Third Reich for years. But when they arrived at American prisoner of war camps, something happened no one predicted. They wept. Not from fear, not from shame. They cried over a meal. This is the story of German female prisoners of war and the moment that shattered everything they had been taught. To understand this moment, we must understand who these women were. By 1945, Germany was losing the war. The Wehrmacht had suffered devastating losses, and the Nazi government turned to women to fill critical military support roles. These women were known as Wehrmacht-Hilferinnen, female auxiliaries. They weren't frontline soldiers. They operated switchboards, decoded radio messages, served as nurses, and a smaller number worked as anti-aircraft spotters. By the final year of the war, nearly 500,000 German women served in military positions. Most were young, many still teenagers. They had grown up entirely under Nazi rule, taught a strict worldview, and a very specific idea of who their enemies were. Nazi propaganda was relentless. For 12 years, Germans were fed lies about other nations, especially Americans. Female auxiliaries were warned repeatedly. If captured, Americans would harm them, starve them, humiliate them, treat them as less than human. This propaganda had a purpose. It kept soldiers and civilians fighting. It made surrender feel more terrifying than death. So as American forces pushed deep into Germany in early 1945, many women faced a terrible choice: flee, hide, or risk capture. And those who were captured braced for the worst. In April and May of 1945, the American military captured around 3 million German prisoners, including tens of thousands of women. Processing meant recording their names, checking documents, searching for weapons, and assigning them to prisoner of war camps. American regulations required that all prisoners be treated according to the Geneva Convention of 1929. This meant adequate food, shelter, medical care, and protection from harm. Female prisoners were typically separated from men and placed in designated areas or smaller women's camps throughout Western Germany and France. And then came the moment that changed everything. For many German women, their first meal in American custody was a shock. They were given standard U.S. military field rations: white bread, canned meat, vegetables, coffee with sugar, sometimes butter or chocolate. For American soldiers, this was ordinary. For German women in 1945, it was unimaginable. Germany was starving. Bombing had destroyed transport networks. Farms were abandoned. Cities were out of supplies. German soldiers and civilians were surviving on thin soups, potato peels, even bread stretched with sawdust. And suddenly, in an American POW camp, they were handed warm, plentiful food. Some stared in disbelief. Others broke down crying. Not from sadness, but from relief, shock, and confusion. It wasn't just the food, it was what the food represented. For years, they had been told that Americans were cruel and brutal. Yet here they were, handed coffee, bread, blankets. One German nurse later wrote, "We expected the worst. We expected to be treated like animals. Instead, they gave us warm food and blankets. I cried because nothing made sense anymore." The meal became evidence. Evidence that everything they had believed was a lie. For many German women, this realization was overwhelming. They had served a government that had deceived them. They had lost friends, family, homes. And now, sitting in an American camp with an American meal, they were forced to confront a painful truth. They had been lied to. After processing, life in American POW camps settled into routine. Women were held for months, receiving regular meals, medical care when needed, and often the opportunity to send letters home. Conditions varied. Some camps were crowded, others more organized. But overall, the Geneva Convention was followed. Prisoners were not harmed or starved. They were not forced into illegal labor. This wasn't kindness. It was policy, designed to encourage surrender, reduce resistance, and maintain America's image as a lawful nation. But for women who expected brutality, the reality remained startling. By late 1945 and into 1946, most German female prisoners of war were released and sent back home. Germany was divided, cities destroyed, families scattered. Many returned to rubble where their homes once stood. Some families were gone. Entire communities were shattered. The war had ended, but for these women, its consequences were only beginning. They carried guilt, confusion, and the weight of having served a government responsible for terrible crimes. The story of German female prisoners of war is rarely told, yet it reveals something powerful. Propaganda shapes beliefs. It creates fear. It makes people accept the unacceptable. And sometimes it takes something as simple as a meal to break through it. A piece of bread, a cup of coffee, a small act of basic humanity. For thousands of German women in 1945, that first American meal became a turning point, the moment when everything they believed collapsed and a new, uncertain future began.